Hey friends, it's June here at the beach. Had some downtime to talk a little bit about these books that I've really been enjoying this month. I'm Holly. I have a website called My Little Brick Schoolhouse. You should check me out. I wanted to talk a little bit about the June books. So first off, we have Miss Rumphius. Miss Rumphius is written by Barbara Cooney, also illustrated by Barbara Cooney. Embrace what you can do to make the world a more beautiful place. It is most certainly a living book because Barbara Cooney has a passion for nature. She has a passion for looking at the details of life and seeing what's beautiful in the world. It's written all over the pages. It's in the illustrations. If you haven't had the chance to listen to Sarah McKenzie's Read Aloud Revival episode on Barbara Cooney, I definitely recommend it, and it pairs really well with reading the book Miss Rumphius. You get to see how the two ideas, her perspective relates to the ideas in this book. So is it a living book? Yes, it's written in narrative form. It's written by somebody who has a passion for the ideas she communicates in the book. It has these ideas that spark the imagination, strengthen the emotions, that fire the emotions, and so provokes more ideas. And it feeds our minds as we read this book. So Miss Rumphius is a winner, and I highly recommend just going to the library and checking it out. I'm sure it's there. Barbara Cooney's no longer alive. She died in 2000, I learned, but she was a very small person with this large, commanding presence, much like the character Miss Rumphius. So take a look. I know you won't be disappointed. The next book is Come On Rain, and I love this book for its lyrical language. It has somewhat of a poetic style to its pages, and I don't know much about the author Karen Hesse, and the pictures are by John, I'm not pronouncing his name correctly probably, but John Muth. And so I don't know much about the author and illustrator, but I can say it's a living book in that it is told in narrative form. It communicates well-written ideas about embracing the moment. These girls are waiting for rain to come in their neighborhood. They live in an urban environment, I can tell by the pictures. And this one particular girl, it's told from her perspective, is trying to encourage her mom to let her wear her bathing suit outside. So the impending rainstorm will cool her off and she can have some fun with her friends out in the rain. And if you like the kind of language that just paints pictures in your mind, you will eat this book up. It is so good. For example, I am sizzling like a hot potato. I ask Mama, may I put on my bathing suit? Absolutely not, Mama says, frowning under her straw hat. You'll burn all day out in this sun. Up and down the block, cats pant. Heat wavers off tar patches in the broiling alleyway. Miss Grace and Miss Vera bend, tending beds of drooping lupins. Not a sign of my friends Liz or Rosemary, not a peep from my pal Jackie Joyce. Okay, there's just a lot of that kind of lyrical language in here, and I think that it's very well written. It contains ideas that feed your minds, that provoke more ideas. It touches your emotions, it fires your imagination. I think that you would like this. It's a good book to refresh us all on a hot June day, and showing the building of a thunderstorm. It's neat how the book gives you that picture of that thunderstorm building. You can sense it coming to a head before the clouds break free, and it almost liberates everybody in the story. So that's Come On Rain by Karen Hesse. The next book is a classic that you all probably have heard and read before, Blueberries for Sal by Robert McCloskey. Once again, if you haven't had the chance, go on over to Read Aloud Revival and please listen to the special on Robert McCloskey. So Sarah Mackenzie has been highlighting different authors and illustrators and giving us a better picture into their personal lives. And apparently Robert McCloskey was a very private man, but he had so much talent. He lived in New England, and his stories all have that setting. At least the ones that I have read: Make Way for Ducklings, Blueberries for Sal, and then our last book in this book list, Time of Wonder. But we all know Blueberries for Sal, and how it's funny, it tells parallel stories of a human mother and her daughter Sal alongside a bear mother and her cub, and it gives us a glimpse into their lives and their inner thoughts, and it just gives us this taste of what it might be to live on maybe an island off the coast of Maine, and you go blueberry picking in the summertime to store up your food for the winter. Both parties have that goal in mind. The bears are trying to store up their fat supplies for the winter, and then Sal and her mother are trying to get blueberries to can to store for the winter, so they'll have food in the winter time. It's such a good book. It's so sweet, and the illustrations are really just precious and timeless and somewhat nostalgic, I would say. I remember this book being read to me when I was in preschool. And it all ends in such a gentle way. Robert McCloskey has this way of making sure his books they don't have any like major tragedies or anything in them. They're very, very soft and gentle for a child's spirit, and I just love that. And they just, tell the day-to-day events of somebody's life and give you that inside view, inside picture into their lives, which I love. The last book by Robert McCloskey is Time of Wonder, and he illustrated it as well, and he's clearly gifted at what he does. I didn't know this, but he only wrote a handful of books. I think something like, less than 10 in his lifetime, but he continued painting and doing artwork until he was an older man. But this book I love because it's told from like this point of view, like it's second person, I think, point of view, but the author, Robert McCloskey, has been telling you what you're thinking and what you're feeling, what you're sensing as this beautiful summer island paradise off the coast of Maine is described in every way. The activities, major theme is the weather. It actually follows the clouds throughout this whole story to take you to the climax, which is like the hurricane, right? Everybody's kind of getting ready for the hurricane. It gives you this inside look into the maritime life, and I'm sure Robert McCloskey knows that life very well because he lived it. But yes, the hurricane comes in, woo, and it surely, the illustrations are great in this book. It surely gives everybody this sense of like hunkering down and preparing for something big to happen. And then the next day we see the storm subside, the aftermath, and the irony of the hummingbird flitting around after the storm. It gives you these questions. It sparks these questions in your mind, like, where do hummingbirds go in the midst of a storm? Which is the last line. It is a time of quiet wonder, for wondering, for instance, where do hummingbirds go in a hurricane? It's so good. This book is so good. And it's also really good on audiobook. I listened to it before I read it to my kids, and I just love the way it's told with the sound effects in the background, and definitely contains ideas that feed your soul, that feed your imagination, your mind, your heart. It's very well written, like all his books are, and it definitely makes me want to go to the coast of Maine. So anyway, if you get a chance to read these books, I highly recommend them, and I hope that you have enjoyed the resources I have on my website. I will definitely be getting back to you with more, and for now, have a wonderful rest of your June. Bye-bye.